The room spun. Or perhaps it was the world outside that was spinning. It was hard to tell. A stench of stale air and something far fouler hung heavy in the silence. Dust motes danced in the thin shaft of moonlight that pierced the gloom, like spectral witnesses to some unholy act. This had been a place of honor once. Now it reeked of betrayal and death. A cold wind whispered through the arrow slits, stirring the tattered remnants of a banner that once proudly displayed the Templar cross. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the scuttling of rats in the shadows. It was the kind of silence that pressed in on the eardrums, a heavy, expectant silence that hinted at unspeakable horrors. He lay sprawled in the centre of the room, a knight of God brought low. His armour, once gleaming, was dull and tarnished, as if the life had been leached out of the metal itself. The crimson cross on his tunic, a symbol of his sacred vows, was now a macabre badge of a life brutally ended. His face, frozen in a silent scream, was a canvas of agony and terror. Where once faith and courage had shone in his eyes, there were now only empty sockets staring blindly into the void. The cruel hand of treachery had not only taken his life, but had also robbed him of his dignity and death. His right hand, still clutching a broken sword hilt, spoke of a desperate struggle, a fight for life against insurmountable odds. He had died a warrior's death, but there was no glory in this victory, only the bitter taste of betrayal and the chilling embrace of oblivion. His legs, once strong and sure in the saddle, now lay at an unnatural angle, the bones shattered. The stench of death was overpowering, a sickening blend of iron and decay that clung to the back of the throat like a physical manifestation of evil. His head, severed from his body, lay a foot away, staring up with sightless eyes. It was a grotesque parody of a judge's impartiality, a grim testament to the depths of man's inhumanity to man. The nose, crudely hacked off, lay discarded nearby, adding another layer of horror to the already gruesome scene. His chest, once protected by the weight of his faith and the strength of his armour, was laid bare. Blood, now dried to a rusty brown, stained the white of his tunic, a stark reminder of the violence that had ended his life. The shackles, which had bound his hands, lay broken on the floor, a testament to the futility of hope in the face of such calculated cruelty. His hair, once thick and vibrant, was now matted with blood and dust. A single grey streak, a cruel reminder of a life cut short, stood out against the dark strands. The silence in the room was deafening, broken only by the whisper of the wind and the frantic beating of my own heart. His lips, once firm and resolute, were now drawn back in a silent scream, frozen in time. The teeth, bared in a rictus of pain, seemed to bite back at the injustice of it all. This was not the death of a warrior. This was the work of butchers, cowards who hid behind masks of piety while they committed their foul deeds. The Pope himself had blessed this knight, had called him a soldier of Christ, a defender of the faith. And how had his faith repaid him? With betrayal, with torture, with a death most foul. Listen carefully. Can you hear the whispers on the wind? They speak of treachery, of secrets buried deep, of a conspiracy that reaches the highest echelons of power. They speak of a darkness that engulfs all, a darkness that consumes even the purest of souls. The room was cold, the air thick with the stench of death and the bitter tang of fear. I dared not stay any longer, lest the shadows claim me too. But as I turned to leave, I could not shake the feeling that I was not alone, that unseen eyes watched me from the darkness, eyes filled with a cold, ancient malice.